All right, Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahashum, Yahweh Bahashum Rukakudash. I want to give double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well in grace and peace to you elect around the four winds, believing and pushing this truth in all sincerity. May the blessing of election be upon your houses. This is your fellow servant, Rukoya from the GMS Orlando camp, coming at you with another impromptu lesson. And tonight I just want to do a quick land back on this video that was just uploaded by the Elder Yashawamba. And it's entitled News and Prophecy, Babylon is Losing Allies in Economic Collapse. All right, and this is becoming a household topic amongst Edom, especially amongst these patriotic and so-called intellectuals of Esau Edom. Your Richard Wolfs, Gerald Salente, Alex Jones, all right, and these different Edomites that come forth with these economic and societal forecasts for America. All right, now this conversation is being struck up more frequently, even amongst the average Joe Smo Edomite, your average Magite here in America, is starting to come to the realization of the economic collapse that's imminent, as well as how Babylon is viewed on a world stage. Because on the world stage, there is a common disdain for America. And now everybody is starting to come to that realization, and it's prophetic. And it's beautiful to behold the words of the Lord manifesting. The very words that men believed our elders and apostles and their elders and even brothers to be crazy for speaking are now manifesting in these people's lives. And the Lord is forcing everyone into the reality of the situation, man. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. But I only made it 36 minutes into the elders video, but I want to play, this clip, and also want to get a video from play a clip also from a video I was watching earlier from this interview with this guy Michael Lester and Sean Ryan, going into the same topic, of the fact that America has no allies. The beast is starting to hate the whore, and EU and NATO are starting to separate themselves from America. And on the world stage, pretty soon, they're going to be the only ones left. The small hats, all right, in Babylon. They're going to be the only ones left in their own little corner. And eventually, this disdain is going to turn into a kinetic war. All right, contrary to popular belief, it's going to turn into World War III, in which America will be destroyed. But let's get it.
Is how long, and to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. So there will be a parable against him. Shall they not rise up, and suddenly that shall bite thee, and awake that shall vex thee, and thou shalt be booties unto them. Eventually these nations are going to strike. Okay? Because thou hast spoiled many nations, all the remnant of the people shall spoil thee, because of men's blood, and for violence of the land and of the city and all that dwell there. And he, all right, with this alliance, has been able to go around the world and just destroy, rape, rob, and murder. But the Lord is ultimately breaking up this alliance.
Right, the Lord is breaking up this alliance, because throughout the years, Esau has been allowed to rape, rob, and murder, like the elder just said, and really impose his own will, on all these different nations. And upon imposing his will, he's dealt very treacherously, with these nations. He hasn't done a fair deal since his conception, which is why all these nations are now starting to take up a proverb against him, because now all of the nations are starting to sober up, and realize how they've been treated, and now on a world stage it's able to be seen with the unicorn, information is able to be viewed at an instant. So all of these tariffs and all of these different backdoor deals that America's been doing is now on the forefront. All the information is being put out. So now everyone can see how treacherously America has been dealing. But this is Isaiah 33 and verse 1. It says, woe to thee that spoilest, and thou was not spoiled, and dealest treacherously, and they dealt not treacherously with thee. When thou shalt cease to spoil, thou shalt be spoiled. And when thou shalt make an end to deal treacherously, they shall deal treacherously with thee. And this is the time period that we're in. All right, the time period where now the nations are starting to deal treacherously with the treacherous dealer. I'm gonna run it back so you can hear it.
He, all right, with this alliance has been able to go around the world and just destroy, rape, rob, and murder. But the Lord is ultimately breaking up this alliance. Okay. And these countries are saying, how long? Okay. They're now saying, look, we can operate outside of the dollar. Okay. And you could check out these videos. I'm not gonna play much of it, but you see here.
The ceasefire is not in the interest of Ukraine. Remember, the Ukrainians didn't want a ceasefire. The Europeans didn't want a ceasefire.
They now do. The Ukrainians now do.
Well, they want a ceasefire because they know that Donald Trump wants a ceasefire.
Europe is moving on from Trump's America, so everything we're reading is you know, in the scriptures is happening right before our very eyes.
Hello and welcome to G0 World. I'm Ian Bremmer and I'm coming to you from Munich, Germany, the site of the 62nd Annual Munich Security Conference, where our European brothers and sisters are nothing short of freaked out. Take the conference's theme this year, Under Destruction, a nod to political forces that favor demolition over reform, where the most powerful countries wield, and I quote, bulldozers, wrecking balls, and chainsaws. And in case you haven't figured it out already, the wrecking ball isn't coming from Moscow or Beijing, it's coming from Washington, D.C. Here's Germany's chancellor kicking off the conference.
The United States' claim to leadership has been challenged and possibly lost.
The Babylon's claim to leadership has been challenged, you know, and it's lost. You know, and they're starting to lose their allies. Europe, as you heard, they're starting to separate from Babylon, man. But I wanted to get this.
We're doing a great job.
All right, from this interview as well, because this topic is not one that's isolated now. You know, at one point in time, this topic was isolated amongst very few men. You know, the prophets of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai and a few intellectuals of Esau Edom, you know, who have, you know, the information and the foresight to see, you know, what's getting ready to take place. But now everyone can see it, okay? Everyone can see it. And these are two Edomite warriors, you know, SEALs and Marines, all right, having this conversation.
Of turning ourselves against each other as it is, but Russia's also doing it. And the one thing a lot of American people don't want us.
I think it's going to be much more systemic than that, than anything else.
When I look at some of the stuff that China is saying, Russia, they don't like us being the world police. I don't like us being the one thing. A lot of American people don't want us to be the world police. But
Yeah.
BRICS.
Yeah.
And nobody wants Esau to be the world police anymore because he's abused his power. You know, just like the police here in Babylon, man, they abuse their power and they reign with rigor, man. They reign in wickedness. And that's what Esau has done on a world stage. He set up garrisons just like he did in Rome. Okay. He set up garrisons in each and every land that he's conquered. He's put tariffs even on his allies. You know, he's imposed his will by force. You know, this man has been a bully. He's been a bully to the whole world. And people are tired. These nations are tired. That's why it said what it said in Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter.
And the one thing a lot of American people don't want us to be the world police. But
Yeah.
BRICS.
Yeah.
I don't know if we have any real allies. I think it would be. I think we're going to have a run for our money here. And I don't think it's going to go kinetic.
And
I
that's
agree.
where they're wrong. Okay? Because this war will be kinetic. Thus saith the Lord. It's prophesied, man. This is Isaiah chapter 9 and verse 5. It says, for every battle of the warrior is with confused noise and garments rolled in blood. But this shall be with burning and fuel of fire. All right, this next world's war is going to be with burning and fuel of fire. It's not going to be like wars that were waged in times past. All right. It's going to be a war like none other. All right. A kinetic war. fuel with the fire of these missiles. But this is Revelation 9. I'm going to get verse 12. It says, one woe is past, and behold, there come two woes more hereafter. All right. And that woe is speaking about world war. All right. The first woe, all right, came, around 1914, I believe, and it passed. The second woe came, let me look it up. Came 1939, ended 1945. All right. Now we're speedily approaching the third woe, all right, spoken about, all right, in which that third woe, let's jump down, verse 15. It says, and the four angels were loose, which were prepared for an hour and a day and a month and a year for to slay the third part of men. And the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000. And I heard the number of them. All right, speaking about the number of the missiles, all right, that are going to be shot off to slay the third part of men. All right, this is going to be a great destruction that's getting ready to ensue. It's not going to be like World War I or World War II. There are going to be far more losses in this next world's war. All right, all of these skirmishes, all of these disagreements are going to lead to a kinetic war. It's not going to lead to an easing over. It's not going to lead to a ultimate agreement. The nations are going to fight it out. Thus saith the Lord. Thus saith the Lord. Let's see. This is Joel chapter 2. Let's start at verse 1. Blow ye the trumpet in Zion and sound an alarm in my holy mountain, that all the inhabitants of the land... Matter of fact, let me get this first. This is Joel 3 and verse 9. It says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Prepare war. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. Okay? And this is what all these heathen nations are preparing for. They're preparing for war. All right? It says, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears, that the weak say I'm strong. All right? And now all of this, money that was once spent on agriculture, and the expansion of, their resources in their land is now being spent on the military. All right, because all the nations are gearing up for a kinetic war. It says, assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about thither. Cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. All right. Get this in Joel 2, because at the end, it's going to be a day of darkness, man. This is Joel 2 and verse 1. Blow ye the trumpet in Zion and sound an alarm in my holy mountain. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of the Lord cometh, for it is nigh at hand. A day of darkness and gloominess, a day of clouds and thick darkness, as the morning spread upon the mountains, a great people and a strong. There have not been ever the like, neither shall be any more after it, even to the years of many generations. A fire devoureth before them, and behind them a flame burneth. The land is as a garden of Eden before them, and behind them a desolate wilderness. Yea, and nothing shall escape them. This is speaking about the missiles. The appearance of them is as the appearance of horses, and as horsemen, so do they run. And horses is, a symbol of power. It says, like the noise of chariots on the tops of mountains shall they leap, like the noise of a flame of fire that devoureth the stubble, as a strong people set in battle array. Before their face the people shall be much pain. All faces shall gather blackness, because when these missiles are shot off, all right, once, that alarm goes off, this is not a drill, and now the missiles are able to be seen over the horizon. All faces are going to gather darkness, man. All hope is going to be lost at that point in time. It says, they shall run like mighty men. They shall climb the wall like men of war, and they shall march every one on his ways, and they shall not break their ranks, due to the GPS system that's containing these missiles. All right. They have coordinates that are set, specific coordinates that are set, and they're going to hit their target, man. It says, neither shall one thrust another. They shall walk every one in his path, and when they fall upon the sword, they shall not be wounded. They shall run to and fro in the city. They shall run upon the wall. They shall climb up upon the houses. They shall enter in at the windows like a thief. The earth shall quake before them. The heavens shall tremble. The sun and the moon shall be dark, and the stars shall withdraw their shining. Okay? And this is the day of the Lord that is speedily approaching, World War III. Okay? This is the time that we're coming into. And this is the time that is now starting to become a household topic amongst Esau, Edom. You know, they're coming to that realization that this is imminent. You know, but these Edomites, you know, these two, they're amongst the hopeful, you know, that this war isn't going to turn kinetic. But that's not according to prophecy. All right. And as we've seen the Lord manifest his words up until now, verbatim, all right, that kinetic war, that World War III, that burning and fuel of fire is going to manifest as well.
I don't think it'll be kinetic.
I don't even know if they would. Because right now, I mean, if you look at what they're doing right now with all the propaganda and I mean, I think we're doing a great job of turning ourselves against each other as it is, but Russia's also doing it. China's also doing it. I'm sure there's other players involved as well. And that's, you know, they're dumping gas on this. And I just had this conversation. I can't remember with who, but I think we are so fragile right now as a country that they're not going to need to cut our power. They're not going to need, I don't think they're going to need to do anything where there could be a trace back to them.
I think we'll do it.
You know, but these are the hopeful amongst Edom. You know, everybody realizes that it's over, man. You know, but I just wanted to do that quick land back, you know, through the Spirit. Lord willing is edifying unto elect. You know, the economic collapse as well as the loss of Babylon's allies is becoming a household topic. All right. And now the words of the Lord are starting to manifest, and they're starting to speed up as well. You know, so keep your head up. All right. We almost out of here. Seriously. All right. The Lord is working on brothers' behalf, man. The Lord is speeding up the days. He's speeding up these weeks. All right. He's speeding up these months. All right. Time in itself is accelerating, which in turn is bringing forth these end time prophecies quicker. You know, so the Lord is, you know, our salvation is nearer than when we believe, like it says in Romans 13 and 11. With that being said, shalom, stay up.